Hey, what's up? I'm Hennessy. I work remote. I travel often and I'm all about health and wellness these days. And I've been investing in Dominican Republic, building something that really means something to me. I'm creating a life full of freedom, purpose, and a little bit of adventure and sharing it all right here. So if you're into that, don't forget to subscribe and come along for the ride.
Hi beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. The intro was introing, but I'm super excited to get started with today's video because as I went on in my last video on my super rant on how I want to start construction in Dominican Republic, one of the things I mentioned in the video is that I wouldn't necessarily want to use a bank. However, I still started to look for that information, right? Just in case I need it, and I wanted to share that with you all. As I mentioned previously, this is all me sharing what I've learned and how I do things. So the information I'm gonna share is from one particular bank. The bank in question is the bank I've used for my apartment. I just reached out to them and I was like, hey, what documents do I need to get a construction loan? I'm assuming these are standard documents, so probably all banks in Dominican Republic will need this. So there are two set of documents that you need. One are in terms of like the actual construction, and then one are in regards to your personal loan. So we'll go ahead and dive right into that. So for the construction, you need 7 different documents. The first one being you need to get the property appraised and be able to provide the value to the bank on how much that property is. So that would require you working with an appraiser and getting that documentation. The appraiser does have to be approved by the bank. So once you get that documentation, you're able to provide that to the bank. The second documentation that you need is a certification IPI. This has to do with impuestos or taxes in Dominican Republic, and basically just saying that you don't owe any taxes for that property. As you know, you do have property taxes in Dominican Republic that you pay annually depending on the value of that property. So you just need, or if you were to buy or sell the property, you also need to pay taxes. So depending on that situation, you need to get a certificate just stating that you do not owe any taxes. The other certificate you need is a certificate for carga and gravement, which is just basically that there's nothing else that you owe based on that property. Pero esta luz sí es. I hope it still looks fine. I have 2 lights, one of them just went out. But so yeah, the second one is a certificate for just understanding that there's nothing owed on that property, that you are the owner of that property, like just stating that information. Both of these certificates you can get, you just have to go through the process, the NDR, to get those certificates, which you have to pay for individually. The fourth document you need is just the list of from the construction company of how much the cost or the estimated cost of the construction is going to be. Now, this is important because in order for you to get a loan with the bank, you do need to work with an engineer that is certified. So the statement of how much it's going to cost for the construction needs to be with a engineer that can sign and provide his number for that he's like certified in the country. The other one you need is in Spanish, ruta crítica de la obra, is the timeline. So you do need to also have that signed by an engineer just saying how long the construction is going to take. Then the other thing is that you do need permission for the construction from the I don't know how you say it in English, but el ayuntamiento. You need to get permission from them, basically like the construction permit, just letting them know that you're going to start construction. And of course, last but not least, you need the actual like architectural plans for the construction. Now, these are the 7 documents you need in order to get a construction loan. The personal documents that you need is the last 6 months of your statement balance from the bank in the US. You also need your latest income tax, and then you need a credit report, which you can get from like Credit Karma or something. Again, they don't have access to United States credit bureaus. So you need to be able to provide that. They just use that as a guide, since you're reporting income from the United States. So those are all the documents you need. As the person that was helping me out was providing this list, the one thing that he told me was that for construction loans, they will give you up to 70% of the construction loan. That was, at least for that bank in particular, they would give you 70% of that construction loan. They also don't give you the construction loan all at once. It goes by the stages of the construction, which is why they ask on the timeline and sort of what each timeline prevails. So like that, they have track on like how much money you're going to be using in each stage. So he did clear that up. Let me see if I did ask any other questions. I think the other question I had asked is like, do you start paying right away? It's almost like a construction loan here where you're paying interest for the amount of time, which tends to be like a very small amount. In DR, that doesn't feel like a very small amount. It still feels very significant, but you start paying back the loan or the amount going back to the loan once the construction ends. Again, this is from the bank that I was speaking to. I don't know if that's the same for every bank, but that's just the information I've gathered so far. I would assume, again, that the documents needed are standard, but like I mentioned, I would definitely want to avoid working with the bank. It's just the interest rates in DR are really too high. So I am trying my best to avoid, but however, doesn't hurt to just know the information. So that's the information I've gathered so far, and I just wanted to share it with you all. So I hope that was helpful. If it was, let me know below, or if you have any other questions. I talk to my bank through WhatsApp, so I'm always willing to like, hey, I need this information. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to like reach out to them and ask. But thank you so much. See you guys next time.